The next amendment on the roster is offered by the gentleman from California, Mr. Obernolte. The clerk will read Obernolte Amendment Number 49.
Amendment to H.R. 6093, offered by Mr. Obernolte of California.
Without objection, the amendment is considered as read, and the gentleman from California is recognized to explain the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'd like to thank you and the ranking member for offering up the Weather Act, which reauthorizes some very worthwhile and meaningful programs. I'd like to offer this common sense amendment that adds the National Landslide Hazard Reduction Program to the list of programs that we are reauthorizing. Landslides are probably the most overlooked natural disasters in the United States because they're often associated with other weather events, but they can have a devastating impact on our communities. On average, landslides cause hundreds of deaths a year and over $1 billion of economic damage. This is something that I unfortunately am personally acquainted with. In August, California experienced the first tropical storm that we have seen in almost 100 years. That brought record levels of rainfall into my communities, and that created liquefaction of some soil that had been destabilized by forest fires and created really devastating landslides in a lot of the communities that I represent. And we are still cleaning up from the results of that natural disaster. I personally toured some of those areas that were affected, and I can tell you the power of that much moving earth is difficult to fathom. There were entire houses that were swept away, bridges that were swept away, entire sections of road and highway were swept away. We had to airlift and evacuate entire communities because they could not be reached anymore. And the communities affected are still trying to clean up. We've got a whole section, a major section of highway that's one of the major arteries into several of the mountain communities that I represent, including the one I live in, that is still not repaired. We're hoping to get it back up in the next month or so. So anything that we can do to improve the forecasting of those events and to help communities prepare, I think, is very worthwhile. This program has been very effective. It's a joint program that's led by the USGS, NOAA, and the NSF. What it does is it creates better prediction tools for landslides and gives communities tools to prepare for the effects of landslides. This amendment would reauthorize it for another 4 years. Without this amendment, it will expire at the end of this fiscal year. The amendment would simply reauthorize it until 2028. I think it's worthy of consideration. I respectfully request your aye vote on the amendment and on the underlying bill. I'll yield back, Mr. Chairman.
Gentleman yields back. The chair now recognizes the ranking member for 5 minutes on the amendment.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank Representative Obernolte for this amendment. As a fellow Californian, unfortunately, I know too well the destructive and often deadly consequences of landslides. But actually, there's a higher risk of landslides in any part of the West that's scarred by wildfires, and there's landslides occur in all 50 states. So this is an important amendment. I want to thank him, Mr. Obernolte, for offering it, and I support it and yield back.
Gentlelady yields back. The chair recognizes himself for 5 minutes on the amendment. I thank the gentleman from California, Mr. Obernolte, for leading this amendment that is so critical to his constituents back home, and I support this amendment and urge its adoption, and I yield back. Does any other member wish to be recognized to speak on the amendment? Hearing no others, the question is on agreeing to Obernolte Amendment Number 49. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed signify by saying no. The ayes appear to have it. The ayes appear to have it. They do indeed have it. The amendment is agreed to.